Hey team, Chef Eric here. Today I'm super excited to bring you another elevated baking recipe. This is my wife's famous Breton Apple Cake with salted caramel sauce coming off the Kamado Joe. Let's get in the action. First step of the apple cake is going to be get our Kamado Joe set up at 300 degrees, and I've got a cast iron skillet in here heating up to temperature. We're gonna get our apples in there. We're gonna peel them, slice them, put a little butter in there, and start browning off our apples. So I wanna bring my cast iron to temperature. I wanna go ahead and get these apples peeled, sliced, and in. Cast iron has come to temperature. We're gonna coat the bottom of that pan nice and evenly, and toss in our apples. You don't want to overcrowd this pan too much. We want to make sure that each apple has an opportunity to connect with the heat source so we can get some caramelization. And we're gonna help the process a little bit by adding some sugar. Let's go ahead and get our pan that we're gonna bake the entire cake in. And we're gonna grease and slightly flour and then lay down these presentation apples. We're gonna start our second batch with the rest of our apples. We're gonna spread these out so that we cannot see the bottom of the pan. Good. A little sugar on these. And while this second batch is cooking, let's go ahead and start on the wet and dry mix for our cake. All right, so we've got a large bowl here. Let's go ahead and mix our dry ingredients. That's the flour, sugar, salt, and baking powder. Mix, mix. We want to make sure and get that sugar evenly distributed so we don't have any pockets. The baking powder is probably one of the most important things to evenly distribute so we can get a nice rise all the way across. And while we're at it, we're going to put in the zest of a few lemons. Now this zest, as it cooks, is going to bloom out and really play a vital role in the delicate flavor of this cake. Remember, when we're zesting, we don't want to get too deep. We just want to take off the exterior. If we get too deep and get into that pith, we'll be bringing bitterness, which is not what we're all about for this sweet cake. And just give that a stir on in. Let it find its way. I'm gonna make a little well here, and let's get started on our wet ingredients. Let's see if we can do the double crack. It's been years, but I used to be able to Tbsp style this, 2 eggs in each hand, bam, 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 bam. Brunch, years and years of brunch.
No way.
Are you ready? I lost it. I don't have it anymore. Look at that.
It's the thought that counts.
Well, it's a sad day. At least we can go, you know. At least I still got that one. 1, 2, same time. Beauty. And you want to really beat these together nicely. The eggs and yolks have different coagulation temperatures, so it's important to have an even mix. We're going to incorporate our melted butter into our whipped eggs. And that's it for the wet ingredients. So now we're gonna start to incorporate our wet and dry. You can use a stand mixer if you like, but I'm just gonna start going. Really, you know, it's a cold day here. This bowl is a little cold. We wanna go ahead and start thinking about getting this batter, half of this batter, on top of our first bit of apples here, so that we can pour it out and hit it nice and smooth. But that's looking like a really nice cake batter. Come on over here to the apples and let's put half our batter. Now that our batter is evenly distributed, we're gonna put our second batch of apples right on top. And that'll be a nice little treat and surprise right in the middle of our cake. We'll spread them out all the way to the edges, so each bite has that delicious, beautiful, elegant sweetness that the caramelized apples bring. Let's get the rest of our batter. A little windy out here today.
It's a Florida winter.
Yeah. I tell you, it was enough to cool down this batter. This batter's so much easier when it's warm to pour over and smooth out without messing with the apples. I'm gonna switch to using my hands and just kind of draw that batter across. I do think it's going to be important to wipe the edges so we don't have the batter around the edges. Give it a couple. Beauty. Cake's in the grill at 350 degrees. It's gonna bake for about, I don't know, 55 minutes is what we're looking for. While we're waiting, let's go ahead and make our caramel sauce. It almost seems like a cheat. It's so simple. You know, we're making a caramel with equal parts water and sugar, 10 minutes at a boil, bring it to an amber, knocking in that heavy cream, whipping it, and then putting the salt and butter in there, reducing it until it's this beautiful, syrupy, salty caramel, and then we're gonna pour it right over the top of that beautiful grilled apple cake. Breton apple cake with salted caramel sauce. It's a beautiful thing. And as it cools out here, you know, we still got a little ways for this cake to finish up. This will start cooling down a little bit and it'll give it even more body, and we'll be able to drizzle it. We got to decide if we want to drizzle it over the whole entire cake or if we want to do it over the pieces. I'm leaning more towards going over the pieces, and that's us. You do not want to put your finger in here and taste it because you're going to burn yourself. With that reduced sugar and water, I mean, it sticks. It sticks and burns like lava. So we're going to let this hang out. We're almost ready to take our cake out. I'm excited to take a sneak peek at that. The next part of the process, once we take the cake, we let it sit out at room temperature for 10 minutes, and then we refrigerate it for 30 minutes. That way it's set, and when we take that little spring pan off, it doesn't just fall apart. Okay, so we need to let it set a little bit at room temperature and then a refrigerated temperature, and then we're ready to go. It's a bit of a process, it's worth it. All right, so we gave it the minimum of 30 minutes. It looks fantastic, it smells fantastic. I'm gonna run a knife around the edge just to make sure that we are completely detached. I'm gonna pop that spring.
Oh, we're looking glorious.
Dude. I'm liking the caramelization on the edges. It's still so warm, I'm afraid to flip this bad boy. And I really like the way the top's looking here.
Oh,
so
it's stunning.
Yeah, it's it's really good. Let's cut a wedge, put it on the plate, sauce it, see what we've got. I love how that salted caramel sauce just drapes over the top. I'm getting the sweet caramelized aromas from the apple, and that crust is where it's at. That's thumpable. And yet the center just looks fluffy and light.
That's pretty work right there.
That's pretty work. Let's give it a go. There's just something so different about the way you feel after you bake something than you do with culinary arts when you're cooking something. I mean, both are equally fun, but opening that grill up was Christmas come early. Seeing that beautiful crust, making that sauce, and it's just such a different flavor profile than the savory grilling. So this is a lot of fun. The apples are incredible. The cake turned out great. The caramel sauce is a lot of fun. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did, and I hope you give this a go on your grill, don't forget to subscribe, like, and do leave us a comment. From our delicious, sweet, and salty backyard to yours, cheers and happy grilling.